Welcome back, y'all. It's time to scout Vandy's defense. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's start off with the total offense for Tennessee is ranked number 11 versus Vandy's number 61 ranked total defense. Onto the scoring numbers, Tennessee's scoring offense is ranked number 12. Vandy's scoring defense is ranked number 40. Tennessee's also given up 2.3 sacks per game, which is 94th in the country, and Vandy's getting about 2 sacks per game, which is good for about 65th in the country. On down to the passing numbers, Tennessee's passing offense is ranked number 64. We all know that it definitely has to get picked up. Vandy's passing defense is ranked number 95. Tennessee's rushing offense is ranked number 9, and Vandy's rush defense is ranked number 37. On down to third down, Tennessee is ranked number 21. We're converting at about 46% on third downs. That definitely needs to pick up as far as I'm concerned. And Vandy's third down defense is absolutely horrible. It's ranked number 117 out of 133 teams. On down to the red zone. This is the only category that Vanderbilt is beating Tennessee in as far as what we like to look at every week. Tennessee is ranked number 98 in red zone efficiency, and we are actually converting at almost 81%. That's just not good enough, man. Like, we've got to figure something out. Maybe mix up some things down there. I think that we could use Nico's legs a lot more. Either way, we can't just stick to running the football. We've got to find a way to get some isolation and some rub routes, pick routes, whatever you want to call them, things like that moving forward. But Vandy's red zone defense is actually pretty good. It's ranked number 49. On down to the turnovers, Tennessee is ranked number 48. And Vanderbilt's only at number 105 as far as turnovers go. So they're not really getting very many turnovers on defense. Now, yesterday we talked about their offense. They don't turn the football over either. So their turnover margin is probably really solid. I haven't actually looked at that. Either way, I love this matchup for Tennessee on paper. Now let's talk about Vandy's key players on defense, starting off with Brian Longwell. He is a linebacker listed at 6'1", 227 pounds. He's a sophomore. He's going to be number 4. He's leading the team in tackles with 69. He also has 1.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 1 interception. Now, he's a good player. I think that he's solid. He plays with good fundamentals and things like that. He's not the best athlete. There's not very many people that we're going to talk about with Vandy that are, overwhelming athletes, but he is an SEC athlete. I'd say like a average athletic linebacker in the SEC, but he does play well. Vandy loves to bring their linebackers on blitzes, and they all do a very good job in their zone coverages. Next player is going to be Randon Fontenette. I don't know if I'm saying his name right by any means, but he does play star. That's just like Tennessee star, basically their nickel player, but he's almost like a linebacker. Look at his size here. 6'2", 220 pounds. He is a sophomore. He's going to be number 2. He has 63 tackles on the season, 3.5 sacks. They like to bring him off the edge on blitzes a ton. 7 pass breakups and 1 interception. Now, this would be a very good athlete. I love his size. I love his speed. I think that he looks really good out in open space. He can do some nice things. It's going to be a challenge, I think, for Tennessee to ID where he's at and understand, hey, is he going to be blitzing or is he dropping in coverage? That's going to be huge in this game. Next player is going to be Langston Patterson. He's another linebacker listed at 6'1", 230 pounds. He is a junior. He's going to be number 10. To me, he's their best true, like inside linebacker, but he can also play outside just a little bit. He has 61 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and 1 fumble recovery. Now, he does a beautiful job getting into his run fits. I love the way that he takes on blocks. I would love to see our young linebackers do the exact same thing, where they can come up to the line of scrimmage, press that hole, and be able to, shed blocks a lot easier, just like he does. But he looks really good. He's not a true sideline-to-sideline guy, but he does have good speed. So he's a good athlete. He understands how to drop to depth within his pass coverages and things like that. So Tennessee definitely has to make sure that, again, we're identifying, is he blitzing or is he dropping into coverage? Next player is Nicholas Rinaldi. He's another linebacker listed at 6'3", 234 pounds. He's a junior, and he is going to be number 24. He has 36 tackles on the season, 4 sacks, actually leading the team or tied for the lead in sacks on the team with 1 fumble recovery. Now, this is a player that typically comes off of the edge, and he's got some good twitch to him. He's not the twitchiest guy. He has sacks more from like nobody really being open down the field, and he just continues to play with that high motor, going after their quarterback, things like that. But I think that he's a pretty solid athlete. He would be someone that Tennessee needs to worry more about as a pass rusher and less about him in pass coverage. Last player that we're going to be talking about today is going to be Corday Sidenor. And I don't know if I'm saying his name right either, but he is a defensive lineman. Typically, he's going to be coming off of the edge, but he's 6'4", 266 pounds. He's very long. Actually looks like he's taller than 6'4" on some of the film. He is a senior. He's number 96. He only has 10 tackles, but he does have 4 sacks. Again, he's going to be tied for the lead in sacks on this team with 1 pass breakup. Now, he does have some good twitch to him, but he doesn't really change directions that well. He's also strong. He's a stronger player than maybe he even realizes. Almost looks like a guy that hasn't played football for that long and is just starting to figure out, what his ceiling actually is. But he can be disruptive at the point of contact, especially as a pass rusher. So we just have to make sure that we are, blocking him, holding on to him throughout the duration of the play because he's another one that plays with a really, really high motor. All right, y'all. Now let's take a look at the pass rushing stats for Vandy. And up at the top, we've got a defensive lineman. Y'all already know I'm looking at the sacks and the hits and the pressure rate and all that type of stuff. With 2 sacks, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name either. They've got some crazy names on this team. But either way, his pressure rate is about 4.1%. But if you come on down here to Senor, who we just talked about, his pressure rate is at 10.1%. Like we talked about, he does have 4 sacks on the season and he has 14 hurries. So he's doing a good job of getting to the quarterback and just, overall being disruptive within the passing game as a pass rusher. But I think a lot of this stuff is going to be more based off of Vanderbilt's coverages and things like that, which we will get to. Next player right here is going to be another edge player, number 29, Capers. He's also really good. You can see over here that his pass rush percentage is at 9.9%. That's pretty solid. And then right here, we've got another edge guy, number 95. We didn't talk about him, but he has 3 sacks this season, and he has an 11.8% pass rush. So that's really good. They do have some guys coming off the edge, and we'll talk more about their scheme within their defense, but they do have some guys that can be disruptive, and y'all can see some of the other numbers that will be bringing a whole lot of blitzes and things like that. All right, now let's look at Vandy's pass blitz tendencies. As y'all can see right here, they're bringing pass blitzes about 36% of the time. That's a pretty solid number. I'd say that's probably slightly above average. So 63% of those will be box blitzes. What that means is it's players inside of the box. It's front 7 players. So most of the time, it's going to be linebackers, and things like that coming on these blitzes. But if you come on over here, slot cornerback blitz, 27%. That's pretty high. I think that could present some problems to our volunteers. And then cornerback blitz, they're doing that at about 2.9%. Now, if you come all the way over here, right, look at the 5-man pressures, right, at about 57%. That is pretty high, okay? They will be bringing more people than most teams, I would say, inside of the SEC on a more consistent basis. And they're bringing a 6-man pressure about 18% of the time. The 7-man pressures only come about 1.5% of the time. So this is a team that is going to blitz, and they're going to be blitzing from different areas. All right, now let's take a look at some of the coverage stats for Vanderbilt. Up at the top, we have cover 3. Cover 3 just means that you have 3 players playing in a deep third. So it's going to give up a lot of underneath stuff to the outside. It does protect the middle of the football field. And I think Vanderbilt does this very well, okay? They do take away the middle on most plays. They'll bring a whole lot of different blitzes, and they run pretty much every single variant of cover 3 that you could even think of. Over here, it's saying that they're giving up completions inside of this coverage at about 72%, and that doesn't look great. They've given up 5 touchdowns as well, but as we come on down, y'all will see what I mean with them inside of cover 3. So they do run cover 3 the most, right? That's at about 42%. The coverage that they run the second most is going to be quarters coverage, which just means that there's 4 players playing in a deep zone, and that takes away all the deep stuff, but it does kind of give up some things over the middle of the field, and it gives up a whole lot of underneath stuff that typically will turn into man. I think that we'll see a whole lot more quarters coverage versus our offense because that's typically what we do dictate, as opposed to what Vandy has been able to do versus some of these other more traditional offenses. Either way, they're running that at about 14%, and they're giving up about 71% completions. They've only given up 3 touchdowns in that coverage. That does make sense because, like I said, it takes away pretty much all the deep stuff. And then the next coverage that they run, the third most is going to be cover 2. They do that about 12%. And passes are being completed at about 67%. They've only given up 1 touchdown. Now, if you come down to cover 1, this is what's interesting because they only run this 9.3% of the time, but they are giving up 70% completions, and they've given up 4 touchdowns. So if you look at it just from a sheer volume perspective, there's less opportunities the further that we come down with these 4 coverages for there to be more touchdowns. So I would definitely say, and actually kind of looks like their grade right here at about 69.3, it does say the exact same thing, that this is one of their better coverages, cover 3 is. So I think that they do that well, but they do not run man coverage very well. That's going to be big for Tennessee because we will find those isolated one-on-one matchups, and I think that we can definitely take advantage of that down the field. All right, so Vanderbilt's defense is very interesting because we all know that every team is going to mostly be running nickel personnel on defense to match up with all the wide receivers and things like that. We've talked a lot about the 4-2-5, which is kind of what Tennessee runs, but it's a 4-2-5 3-3-5 hybrid. And Vandy will run some 3-3-5. We talked a ton about 3-3-5. Is that the defense that can stop Josh Heupel's offense? We figured out that it's really not. There's always holes in every single defense that you run. But Vandy runs a 2-4-5. So what that means is they're going to have 2 down defensive linemen with 4 linebackers and 5 secondary players. All that's going to do is give them more athleticism on defense. It's supposed to be really good versus spread offenses and things like that. But Vandy's personnel, while it might, fit this style better than more of a 4-2-5, just because maybe they don't have true, edge players, they don't have a ton of speed at linebacker either. Like, they're not the most athletic team. So the good thing about it is, like we touched on, you can have a whole lot of speed. Okay, you can bring blitzes from pretty much everywhere. You can drop in coverage from pretty much everywhere, which can throw off the pass protection. It can throw off the quarterback and the wide receivers, especially for us, running all these option routes and things like that. But I feel like at this point, y'all, we figured out, what's going on with these defenses. We're starting to understand things, and, we're picking it up very well from all those different perspectives. So cover 3 is still cover 3. Cover 2 is cover 2. They're still the same holes. You just have to be able to identify that is indeed the defense that they're running. But pretty much outside of that, man, I think Tennessee can find success just taking what the defense gives to them. We talked a lot about Vandy doing a great job with their cover 3. Cover 3 is designed to take away deep passes and passes in the middle of the field, but the underneath stuff will be there. So Nico just has to be patient, going all the way down the field, taking what they give him. I would love to see for Tennessee to, run more drags in this game. Also, within our running game, we can hit those edges. I've been asking for the jet sweep all season long. With teams that run a ton of cover 3, the jet sweep is there. It's 100% there. I would love to see us run that, or maybe 5 times in this game, something like that, because it will be there for chunks. I'm talking 20, 30 yards. So we got to try to utilize some of that. But also, man, we will dictate some more quarters coverage, which essentially will turn to man coverage because we spread the field out so much. You can't just play cover 3, especially if we're overloading one side with, ball catching threats. So they're going to have to go to cover 4. And once we get them isolated in some man-to-man coverage, we will definitely be able to take advantage of that down the field, as long as we can hit on those passes. Okay, we just have to hit on them whenever they're there. But I do think that Tennessee will find plenty of success in our, base 11 personnel with 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, spread that field out, running the tempo, doing what Josh Heupel likes to do. And that should give him confidence. That should give this offense confidence. But also, whenever you run a 2-4-5 defense, or even a 3-3-5 defense, which, again, Vandy does run a pretty good bit of 3-3-5 as well, it's easier to run on those defenses. And we can do it, again, with just 1 tight end. So Vandy's defense on paper has looked good at stopping the run, but a lot of teams don't run their offense the way that Tennessee does. Our offense is just totally different. We're going to spread you out, and we're still going to run power. I think that we could definitely run power at Vandy and gash them over and over and over again. Power is just, we're going to have offensive linemen pulling. We're going to have tight ends pulling as lead blockers and things like that. Read option game should definitely be there. I don't think Nico needs to run the football that much in this one. We can just kind of stick to some more basic things within our offense. But if he does have the opportunity, obviously he has to keep it on those read option plays, because if he doesn't, then he's not keeping the defense honest, and that could slow down our regular running game with D. Samp, with Peyton Lewis, with Cam Selden, all those guys. So my whole point here, y'all, is we will be able to find plenty of success versus this defense in dictating what we want to do, taking what they give to us. We just have to make sure that we are able to identify what's going on with the blitzes and what's going on with the coverages. As long as Tennessee does that, I think that we will be very, very successful coming up on Saturday. So those are my thoughts. Please leave yours down in the comment section. Thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.